Hello, and thank you for visiting our podcast, On the Making Of. My name is Brian T. Silak. I'm a professional photographer from the New York City area, and my co-host is writer, recording artist, and illustrator Brendan Davies. Together, we've done feature articles on producers, engineers, musicians, and studio owners for Tape Op magazine since 2004. We completed our first episode of On the Making Of, featuring Tape Op magazine editor-in-chief and producer Larry Crane, just before the COVID-19 pandemic took hold and brought everything to a halt. During that time, Brendan and I decided to revisit some of the raw audio recordings from our various interviews over the years and create an exclusive archive series as a bonus feature for On the Making Of viewers and listeners. As you may know, much of what is discussed throughout the course of an interview rarely makes it to print, so we've provided the entirety of these interviews for you to hear with minimal editing. Brendan and I look forward to creating new audio archive segments in the coming months, but in the meantime, we hope you enjoy this peek into some of our favorite artists throughout the years. Our first featured artist from our archive selection will be Mike Patton. In 2005, Mike Patton was on tour with one of his many bands, Fantomas, in support of their new release, Suspended Animation. They were in New York City at Irving Plaze on April 13, 2005. And just prior to soundcheck, Mike was kind enough to meet with us to do an interview and photo shoot for Tape Op. The band had just left an in-store signing at Virgin Records, which was located nearby at the time on 14th Street and Union Square. Although there was a sense of urgency for Mike and the band to prepare for the show that evening, he was incredibly gracious with the time he gave to myself and Brendan, as well as my longtime friend and colleague Oliver Ivanisi, who assisted me with the shoot that day. Brendan has always been responsible for conducting our interviews, and from the very beginning I've encouraged him to ask questions even while I was shooting. This has developed into a style that has provided some great candid moments and expressions from our interviewees, some of which you'll see throughout this conversation. It seems impossible to accurately rattle off all of the things Mike Patton has done, even since this interview took place in 2005, but some of the highlights include reuniting with Faith No More in 2009 and recording the album Sol Invictus in 2015, working with his longtime friend and mentor John Zorn on 3 studio albums, The Stone, Issue 1 in 2006, A Dreamer's Christmas in 2011, and The Song Project in 2014. He also recorded a brilliant album of reimagined 1940s and 50s Italian pop music, Mondo Cane, in 2010. And what most people never thought would happen, he reunited with his original band from childhood in Eureka, California, Mr. Bungle, now with the addition of Dave Lombardo from Slayer and Scott Ian from Anthrax, to re-record the group's original demo, The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. Before we begin, I would like to read Brendan's opening paragraph from our published 2005 article in Tape Op magazine entitled, Seeing It Through, the Mike Patton Interview. Thanks in advance for watching and listening. If you are enjoying this and other programming on our channel, don't forget to like this video and follow us at On the Making Of. Mike Patton keeps busy, that's for sure. Since his early days with rock band Faith No More, who pioneered the genre of rap rock with their seminal hit Epic, through the schizophrenic complexities of Mr. Bungle's 3 albums, to his more recent work with bands Tomahawk and Fantomas, Mr. Patton has built a solid reputation as a musical maverick based on the unexpected volume and breadth of his catalog. In 1999, along with his manager Greg Workman, Mike founded Ipecac Records, which in addition to putting out Mike's various projects, has since come to be known as a label specializing in musical misfits and interesting albums which might not otherwise have found distribution through more mainstream outlets. More recently, a non-singing role in director Steve Balderson's 2004 film Firecracker has added to Mr. Patton's resume of unusual genre-breaking artistry. Mike was kind enough to share his insights on creativity, the importance of believing in one's own artistic vision, and the role of home recording technology in his various recent album projects.
You probably have one of the more interesting vocal racks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it's not really vocal stuff at all. toys and shit.
But you're using it vocally. You mean? No, just other stuff. I see.
I'm kind of, the role in this band, there's so much going on that I have to cover other parts. So
Yeah, sure.
all of a sudden the sampler came in, and then all of a sudden a bunch of other shit came in, and
Yeah.
Hold that one sec.
gotta have both hands going at all times. You know?
Are you guys really heading to do Coachella?
We are, yeah.
That in? Wow, that's so cool.
Maybe, I don't know.
I was kind of surprised you guys would. I mean, I heard, and I sort of didn't know if it was true or not.
Yeah? Why?
That's cool.
Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, you guys are sort of usually slightly more. I feel like Coachella's a big thing that you guys sort of do a little more
We don't.
hidden.
It's not hidden by choice. They just don't ask us.
Well, they should, damn it. See?
They did.
Yeah, that's cool.
Fortunately, they have a fucking monopoly on the entire Southern California area. Like, we're not able to do our own shows at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently, they think that a show of ours in a 500 capacity venue would take sales away from fucking Coldplay.
Oh, well.
That was my surprise. That's and Coldplay, I think. Can I get you changed up just a little bit?
Sure.
Sort of, however you're comfortable, if you can lean back.
I'm uncomfortable, so...
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Great, thank you.
You guys playing the first night or second at Coachella?
It's like the 31st, I think, or 30th.
Yeah.
Is there 31 days now?
Yes, there are.
Yeah, I think we played the 31st. It's the last show of our tour. Hope you don't mind me moving, I just can't keep still.
No, that's totally fine.
That's very
Just come in just a little bit.
You're quick for me to start asking the questions?
Yeah, go ahead. If you don't mind, just once in a while, throw a glance my way, because we sort of try to incorporate,
Alright.
looking away, looking here.
Alright.
When did the new record come out?
A couple days ago, yeah.
Right?
Fifth
Last
or something
week,
like that. Yeah, last week.
I checked it out this morning.
It's cartoons, right?
Kinda, yeah.
It's very cool.
I checked out the sampler. Very nice.
Mike.
So the cover is supposed to be killer, like the booklet and
It's
stuff.
great, yeah. It's done like a calendar. Kind of designed the whole thing. A
Okay.
calendar you can hang on the wall with a spiral.
Full size or a little?
Well, it's CD size,
Oh, cool.
But it's got a spiral
Oh, neat.
bound on it and a hole.
Good package.
It's cool.
That was very cool.
And this great illustrator did the whole package. It's a Japanese artist.
Okay, so Brendan, you should just ask some...
I didn't want to interrupt.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ask some pertinent
No.
stuff, and I'm going to do one more roll and then release you from this pain.
Here we go. So we'll just get started. So,
Comfortable couch.
as an artist, you seem to embody a deeply held philosophy of no compromise. It's kind of what I gathered from your music, of not being willing to just make nice or, subdue certain aspects of your music or your personality. You just put out exactly how you feel, and you're not really so concerned about a commercial audience. How strongly do you actually feel that way?
So strongly that I don't even think about it anymore.
Really, it's just
There's
so...
no question. Yeah, there's a right way of doing it and the wrong way, and I've been, at this point I don't think I could do it any other way. It's too late.
Sure. Was there ever
I'm a lifer and that's it.
I gotcha.
So.
Was there ever a time that the commercial side of things was more of a concern for you, or it's pretty much you've always just felt as strongly about
No,
it?
but there were times in my life when I was more impressionable, that's for sure.
Gotcha.
And the older you get, the longer you do this stuff, the more the more convinced you are that what you're doing is, that you have to be, because no one else will be. You're not.
Sure.
And really, the older I've gotten, the more I've really relished what I'm doing and
Sure.
hated everything else.
Oh, that's great. How important to you in music, life, everything, is originality or trying to say something new?
It's pretty relative, sorry. Where were we? Original. Totally, it's very relative. Sometimes, what sounds original to me could sound boring and contrived to someone else. It's completely, I'm just doing what I feel compelled to make. It just so happens that for the most part it doesn't fit very nicely into a lot of categories that we've set up for ourselves.
You mean categories that you see as
genres
in music stores, for example?
Exactly. There's no real section where anything I do would really ever fit.
Right.
And I'm,
and in spite of
very
that,
comfortable with that. I'm very comfortable with that. Don't try to do it. It just happens naturally.
And it goes back to what you were saying before about it's just not even an issue anymore. You just do what you do.
Just do it.
In an article that I read about the film that you did, it said you're an artist who doesn't want to limit yourself. So, for example, you did this film, and your music keeps bouncing from all sorts of different influences, different styles. I mean, even within the same song in Mr. Bungle, you go all over the place. How important is that to you to not limit yourself, and also to bring in all of the things that you like, sort of within a project?
I mean, every project is kind of, the way I see it, are different little universes, and they all have their own little sets of rules and parameters, really. So, a group like Phantomos, I wouldn't really bring a lot of, if I had I woke up one day and wanted to write some pop songs, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, sure.
There's certain projects that are, certain sounds are appropriate for, and I like to compartmentalize.
And so by doing many different projects, you get a chance to actually express yourself in everything.
Instead of throwing...
And not limit yourself like a genre in a record store.
I mean, the film thing was, just putting yourself in an uncomfortable, strange position just to see what it was like.
Oh, very cool.
Be wide-eyed, green, shut your mouth, and do what you're told.
But it seems
be part of a
almost
large ensemble.
It seems almost by putting yourself in something uncomfortable, you actually feel pretty comfortable about doing that because it's kind of part of your whole.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn.
Okay.
That's the only way I have been able to learn. That's how I learned to play music. By trying, by doing it.
Sure.
By recording. Learning on the job, basically.
So you didn't go to school,
Nope.
you didn't study voice.
And the same thing, other things. I didn't really get a whole lot out of school.
Gotcha.
So I think, learning another language. I was never able to do that by listening to tapes and the way most people are supposed to.
Right. Seems pretty
I had to go there,
sure.
Pick a place and say, don't fucking speak English to me.
Learn by experience.
You learn by doing it. By falling on your face at times and
sure.
and trial and error.
It seems that your perspective on how much you've wanted your listeners or your fans to think about the music has changed over the years. I read a Faith No More interview with you where you and some of the other guys were saying it's not about thinking, it's just about we get up here and we do this music and it rocks, and if you want to be with your girl when you're listening to it or whatever, it's not thinking. And then more recently, it seems like you're actually putting music out there that's really making people think more just by the nature of what it does. How do you feel about that?
Hopefully, I think it's depending on the project. A band like this obviously is not. It's not background music. It's demanding. Demands your attention and there's a lot of detail in it. And it's a pain in the ass to listen to. It's not casual, fun listening.
So by weeding out the listener, you almost sort of demand the listener who's willing to.
Well, it's just what's in the music. It's by default that it's difficult.
Gotcha.
I think other things that I'm doing or have done are not like that at all.
Sure.
Hopefully they're not boring, but I like to think that there are challenges in making something that's background.
Sure.
Making something that's like wallpaper. There's also a real challenge in writing a 3-minute pop song that doesn't sound that isn't a total snooze.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's really what it's about. is having those different environments, uncomfortable or comfortable, and each one of them has its own little set of problems, and some of them make you think, some of them they don't. More often than not, nowadays I like to step back and say, the music's there, I did my job,
And let the listener,
I'm not explaining
critic,
nothing.
judge it.
There's
Exactly.
nothing to explain. You like it? You don't like it? Does it make you think?
Not what does it mean. That's
No,
up, that's
no
up to
shit.
the, yeah.
It just is what it is. Static.
Sure.
It's like they're my babies, but in a way I've kind of disowned them. Finish with them. You spend all this time with them, nurturing them. You get them to the certain point where you're really happy with them and proud, and then you kick them out of the fucking house and say,
So
on your own.
you pretty much mastered the letting go. And
Trying,
move on,
man.
On to the next one.
Trying, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
In a way,
catalog
over the years, you correct mistakes, and hopefully you get a little better.
and learn on the job.
Yep.
You've been referred to as a modern-day Frank Zappa. How
By who?
Huh? I don't remember one of the interviews, actually.
You should take into consideration who says that kind of crap.
Was he influential to you at all? Or?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I mean, stylistically.
I remember my dad had one of his records. And I would usually go through my dad's closet and sort of listen to whatever happened to be there. There was all sorts of weird stuff there, but that was among the best. But I didn't have a real serious romance with his music till much later.
Gotcha. What did you have a serious romance with music-wise? Like, what made you want to do what you do?
Nothing in particular.
Yeah,
Probably
just
growing up
everything.
in a small town and not having anything to do.
So you made your own things.
Yeah. Hanging out with the wrong crowd, as they say.
Sometimes the wrong crowd is the right crowd. That sounds hokey, right? Sometimes it's so right to do so wrong.
It worked out. It ended up working out just fine.
That's great. Do you find that many of your different musical projects and recordings share a common Mike Patton audience? Or do you kind of have separate and distinct fan groups for each
Don't know.
project? You've never really...
You'd have to tell me.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't take surveys or...
Ipecac doesn't check that stuff or anything.
No. I'm just glad that there are people out there. If it's the same 10 over and over, that's
Well,
fine
more
with me.
than 10. It's got to be at least 11.
Well, whatever. I mean, you know. Ideally, yeah, it'd be great to have all sorts of different types of people. But I really don't know. I kind of try and keep a healthy distance from
That probably is a very
from knowing
helpful.
who's out there, you know.
That probably is very helpful. How much of the instrumentation, the arrangements, and the production of your recent music, which really kind of often jumps from one musical thought to another, how much of that is improvisation in the studio or live, and how much of that is actually you've thought it out in advance, you've heard it in your head, and now you're realizing it?
Well, with this band, it's all written.
All written.
There's very, very, very little improv at all.
Really?
Basically, I record everything myself at home and make a crude version of what I want to hear. Then I have them learn it pretty much verbatim, and they always make it better.
Gotcha.
Which is
And that will
what
actually...
a band should do, you know.
That will get to one of my other questions in just a second. I want to talk about your use of background and ambient noise, as well as pretty extreme musical and performance dynamics in the music. Sounds and silences, especially, that's not traditionally considered part of popular music, which, going back to what we talked about before, isn't even a concern for you, what's traditionally considered. Where did your love of noise and the shocking discords and level changes and things, where did that come from?
Well, in this band, I think our basic MO comes from just that.
Choppy.
Very choppy, stark contrast. And I grew up listening to a lot of death metal and hardcore stuff when I was a teenager.
Sure.
And that's something that I always loved about that music. And always thought that it could be taken further. And I think, if you sit down and dissect this music, it's a whole lot of cliches that a lot of us have heard before that know that music, and it's just organized in a different way. I just took the building blocks and put them together a little bit differently.
Sure. I actually listened to your entire catalog.
Jesus.
I know, it's crazy. He gave me most of them, and then...
No one should have to do that.
Ipecac sent me, and it was a lot, but it was
ridiculous.
Very cool. Well, no, I got to see
Is it
what
alarming
happened
when people want to?
No one anyone ever did.
Maybe I get a trophy. I won an award for that.
First I ever heard.
Great
It's unbelievable.
thing. You keep busy enough to keep me only listening to you throughout the year, pretty much.
And not be bored.
There's a world out there, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well.
I noticed that your vocals have sort of steadily moved from being up front and center, like they were a lot in the Faith No More stuff, kind of in through Mr. Bungle and all of this, and now they're much more blended, as if you've specifically chosen your voice as an instrument. It's part of the mix. It's part of sort of a more the larger picture of the music, as opposed to something that's out front and center. Has that been a conscious thing on your part? It's just sort of
The
evolved.
music dictates it. In a band like Phantomas, obviously it's not we're not talking about song form here. We're talking about, little tiny cells of music that move really quickly, and I didn't feel there were any need for words or any sort of other distracting information.
Gotcha.
So I knew immediately I wanted the voice to be like another guitar, really kind of like a parrot, just imitating sound effects and whatnot. But by the same token, there's I just did a record with this guy Kata, and those vocals are real.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
They're pronounced.
straight up there. It just depends on what the music needs.
Sure.
And in Phantomas, there's not a lot of space.
Right.
There is no front and center.
Right,
It's
sure.
just it's out of the question. So it needs to occupy a different role.
Right.
And I think it's really fun for me to do that.
I think it's very cool that, sort of your approach to the whole thing appears to be, it's really about what the music dictates, and it's not some preconceived notion of who your audience is going to be, which a lot of people, unfortunately, operate with.
It's all extraneous. I realized long ago I can't control who the fuck listens to me.
Right.
Or how many, or
Right.
why, or if I looked a certain way, or
Sure.
tried to sound a certain way. I couldn't do it if I tried.
You just have to
Gave
know
up.
what you feel.
Yep. Gave up. You could go gray and have ulcers very quickly
Or be apathetic about what you're doing.
If
That's right.
you live that way.
You specifically surround yourself with great players so that you can recreate the intricacies of what you're doing live, or what you're doing in the recordings live.
Yeah.
And probably also, I would say, maybe capture the live energy in the recordings, I guess, when the guys are re-recording what you've given them in demos.
Yeah.
How has your studio, and this is a tape-off question now, how has your studio...
There it comes.
I know. See, we get into it slowly. We're kind of moving towards it. How has your studio and production approach changed over the years as you've toured with different bands and you've worked on all of these different projects?
I do a lot more at home now. I used to, because of technological reasons and my own ignorance, would always have to hire, a studio and an engineer, buy the fucking tape, blah, blah, blah. I do a lot of it now on my own, on software, on the computer.
What do you use?
I use Pro Tools.
Okay, cool.
Yep. I also use Logic.
Nice.
And yeah, it's amazing what you can get done on your own, and I've always I've cut out a whole stage there,
Sure.
which is great. There's no more demos.
That,
You don't have to make a demo for anything. The demos are the record.
Yeah, that was actually my next question, is given the intricacies of your music, and you touched on this before,
Why do it twice?
the role of demos and a home studio in your songwriting process. You said before with Phantomas, you're giving them all of the parts, you've worked them out at home, and the guys are recreating them on their specific instruments. But now pretty much, from what you're saying though, quite...
Well, if I'm writing for... Now Phantomas is a band.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm writing for them.
Sure.
So I still will give them those rough sketches and with fake drums and
Gotcha.
bad guitar.
Right. You play bad guitar?
But a lot of stuff ends up making it.
Sure.
A lot of the stuff I resample and and play along with Buzz. Or
Oh wow, very cool.
So yeah, the Delirium record, most of that I did at home and just had the guys overdub on.
That was actually going to be one of my questions. So you were saying that it's getting to the point where you can really do more and more at home. These days, it's pretty incredible.
It's the best. Putting a studio in my pad was one of the best things I ever did. I can't believe I didn't do it sooner.
Right. What made you finally do it as opposed to not doing it before?
I guess I grew some balls. I don't know. I really don't know. I live in this place where it's kind of like two flats, and I would just rent one out, and then finally I realized, what the fuck am I doing? I'm not some fucking landlord.
Keep the other one and make it a studio.
So I made it a studio.
Oh, it's amazing.
Real small, but up until that point I was doing it in this laundry room.
Not with washers and dryers going and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Really?
It was right next to the furnace, and I found out later that there was
That could
a
be some of
carbon
the industrial
monoxide
noises in your stuff, right? A car, really?
Yeah, the guy came and was replacing the furnace, and he like had this little tester, and beep beep beep, and he goes, "You don't spend a lot of time down here, do you?" And this piano, and I was like, "No." He goes, "I mean, it wouldn't really, you wouldn't pass out, but," he goes, "Cumulative effect."
Right. And you were like, "No, I'm fine."
Yeah. My wife immediately said, "No wonder you've been making that fucking music.
Jesus.
You've been poisoning yourself down there." Yeah, I was glad to get a real studio.
I want to talk for a moment about your association with John Zorn.
Mm-hmm.
When and how did that happen, and how has it influenced your music and production style?
I guess maybe met him in 90 or 91 maybe, and I asked him to work with Mr. Bungle.
Sure.
I just heard a bunch of his records and liked them. Approached him, and he was really into it. Kind of became friends. Started off with a bang and have been there ever since. We'll be here tonight.
Cool.
So, I think that obviously I've learned a lot from his music, but he's a pretty amazing person, and I've learned a lot personally from him.
Sure.
Been like, family, really is what he's turned into.
That's awesome. Sort of like almost like a compositional mentor in some way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Learned a whole lot.
And especially him
He's
coming
a great example.
From his sort of very heavily film soundtracky sort of influenced thing. And there's been a lot of those sort of things going through your music. Even before you met him, I think that was sort of...
Yeah, I mean, we
it's almost like you
have a lot of
gravitated
common
toward
threads, for sure.
Very common.
I mean, he was, one of the people really urging me to start my own label.
Oh, it's great.
He had done so before and said, "You're gonna, it's gonna be a whole new world for you. This is gonna be your thing. You got to do it." Sure. Once again, he was right.
Yeah.
So I've been incredibly fortunate to have, a friend like that, who's also a peer and a mentor and everything else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing half the shit I am if I wasn't close with him. I'd be doing something, but
yeah. But it might not be as
I don't know
specifically.
It just I've taken some detours, and I think that he really helped me. Really helped me make some good decisions.
So in 1999, you founded Ipecac Records with your manager, Craig, right? Let's talk about Mike Patton, the label owner. How has that sort of, what is, how does that make you look at yourself differently, or other people?
All of a sudden, it's like having a roof over your head, and it's nice to not have to pimp your work to anybody.
Sure. There's always
that's
a home
one thing
for
that I
Mike
really
Patton
don't
work.
miss. Yeah. And no one going, can you make it sound a little more like this?
Yeah.
Or no one can say shit. So it's really having complete control and
That's
owning your own music. You don't have to sell it to somebody. Really, really glad I did it.
What is the most important aspect of what you do? Like, what means the most to you as an artist, as a producer, as a label owner? Are they different things, or is it the same thing, kind of a thing?
It's all one thing.
It's all one thing.
It's all really one thing. All these projects, all this stuff that seems kind of random and or like busy work to a lot of people. It's just what feels natural, and it's the clip I like to go at, and keeps me interested in what I'm doing. Makes it feel, it could be digging ditches somewhere. You know what I mean? So I feel really lucky. having a label, like I said, is just like having this umbrella where you can really, it's like a dream, owning your own shit and having no one to answer to.
And are you completely actively involved in choosing all the acts, the other people that are on your label? You handpick them?
That's kind of my job.
As label.
That's what I do. Yeah. Everyone else handles the real work. We have two other people, my partner and one employee, and that's it. Keep the overhead low.
Right.
Able to structure deals that are totally amazingly fair. And the way it should be.
Yes.
It's not difficult at all.
Yeah.
Having that going has really been amazing.
And you actually go out and scout the bands, or you hear about them word of mouth? People send you demos?
All of the
kind
above.
of everything.
Friends of friends sometimes total stranger.
Sure.
Sometimes a friend will be playing a CD. Who the fuck is that?
Right.
It's neat to be able to go, oh. Because we don't have really any criteria. It doesn't have to sound,
That's what I was going to ask. The project seems so diverse.
We don't have a clique,
You go from some of the bands that you've signed, and then you've got the kids of Whitney High, It really spans a whole huge spectrum.
Kind of the way, I knew it would have to be from the get-go. It's the way I listen to stuff. It's the way I write stuff, and I'm glad that it's working and that people are interested in it, because it could have very easily been a career suicide type of move,
Sure.
I mean, most labels don't do that.
Would you say
they figure out a sound and stick with it?
Sure.
What I thought was, why bother competing with them?
Sure. It's again
so many people doing that.
Naturally.
Yeah, so many people are doing that. Why don't we try something else?
Sure.
And see if people can deal with it.
Would you say your philosophy with that is to release things that you feel really deserve to be released? That might not have a home someplace else.
Obviously, musical misfits are what we gravitate towards. Things that will slip through the cracks somehow.
Sure.
There's just so many great people making sounds in their bedrooms, and
people will know to come to Ipecac to listen to that.
Well, maybe.
I mean, that's the theory? That's the theory behind it or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I just love for music like that and artists like that to have an outlet.
One last question, which was actually his question.
Uh-huh.
When you're doing some of the more extreme vocals that you're doing, how many pots of coffee are you drinking?
That's a lot of coffee. I probably had 6 or 7 today.
Cups of coffee?
Cups, no pots. No. I don't. The word pot freaks me out.
Yeah.
Coffee fucking rules.
Yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it?
Our merch guy is keeping a journal of every cup of coffee that he drinks on this tour.
Are you serious?
And rates them.
Oh man, that's cool.
He's got a 5-star rating.
That could be like a
descriptions and everything.
Yeah. That's a book right there.
Very good. Yeah.
That's like a book. Every bathroom you go into, how
That's right.
clean it is.
Obsessive compulsive shit, man. I like it though. Every day you see him scrolling in it.
Oh, that's
He's
cool.
drinking some
It's like a journal or something.
Hideous gas station coffee.
Oh man. You should put that out though, or put it on a website or something like that.
The things you do to keep yourself amused.
Being that you've read K-pop and you kind of know a little bit about what it goes for, is there any words of wisdom or anything in particular you would like to say to the people you think read it? That would just be
record your own shit. Don't worry about what some fucking engineer is going to tell you. Don't worry about the right way to do it.
Right.
You can make incredible music on that.
Yeah. If it's good,
You're the only one who's going to know how to record it right.
Right.
Don't hire someone to tell you what to do. It won't work. If you need to be told what to do, then you don't know what you want. And it sounds simple, knowing what you want, but sometimes it's the most difficult thing, and believing in it and seeing it through. So I guess that's what I'd say. But it's funny, when you read K-pop, it's you got to mic the guitar. Blah, blah, blah. And hogwash.
But they also
fucking hogwash.
They also do have a good blend of articles that are like famous big deal hoo-has and people who have recorded in a basement or a bedroom.
Yeah.
Or something. That's the thing I like the best about that magazine.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, it's all information, but I don't know what I take away from that is just like, I mean, some of the favorite shit that I've ever recorded was
done wrong.
Just done, absolutely completely wrong because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. And that's probably what made it. That's probably what made it so special.
Yeah, I don't know. you just, can't tell you how many times I've gone back to like, some sort of micro cassette recording going, I'm using that.
And you have?
That's on the fucking, taking it. I did a whole record of just 4-track voice things. And
Was that your adult themes?
in hotel rooms.
I was wondering.
And that was kind of my last...
Like 4-track cassette stuff?
Yep,
or?
that was my last little love affair with the 4-track. I just think, doing it yourself is always the best place to start. That's for damn sure.
Sure.
But it may also be the place to end.
That's a good final statement.
There you have it.
When you're recording at home, do you use all the virtual stuff? Like, does your Pro Tools become a video game with all the virtual rack units and things, or do you actually have equipment?
I have stuff too. I like to mix it up. Well, there's just some stuff that I got so comfortable with over the years that I still have one of those shitty DBX.
Which like
RCA, what is it? 163 maybe?
Oh, okay. I know there's like the home units or whatever.
Shit, yeah. Love it.
As like a
Use it on vocals all the time. Use it on everything.
Yeah. Sometimes those things are good. Like some people actually, this was a tape op thing. Somebody said like use old tape cassette decks.
Oh yeah.
Have Dolby B and just put the mic in and the line out and just hit pause
There you
record.
go.
So it
Straight
uses
through
the
it.
circuitry.
Yeah, right.
And you get the same kind of a thing.
Very good.
Yeah. It's cool the stuff you can do at home these days. It kills me.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. There's always something. Somebody's always up to no good.
That's neat to know that a large portion of the stuff that's on your recent albums and adult themes and everything has come from just your home recordings.
Yep. Just kind of the way I learned to do it,
That's cool. It brings it into the realm of real as opposed to some premeditated, with an audience in mind or something like this.
Having no real musical education, the only way I can document stuff is by pressing record.
Yeah.
On whatever it may be. Ghetto blaster,
Sure.
I'll constantly leaving myself messages at home.
Oh, I used to do that too. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Do that all the time.
Because if you got an idea, you got to get it done.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So in a way, I had to learn how to use the studio as an instrument.
Sure.
Doesn't mean I do it right.
No, but you're using Pro Tools. I mean, since it is like the industry standard, it's...
Yeah, but I only started using that the last 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So
Before that,
maybe 5. Before that, it was still tape.
Boxes of 4-track cassettes.
Horrible, yeah. Anyway, I probably better be getting up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much for your
Thanks,
time.
man.
Really, very cool.
Thanks a lot.
This is going to be a very good article.
Great. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm
Have
very
fun with
excited about it. And can't wait to see the show.
Very good. Enjoy.
Thanks, man.
Later, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Eric and Monica. Excellent day.